become an influencer, it gives you the edge that separates you from the competition. The GIP initiative, the Global Influencers Partners Program, is designed to expose you to over 5 billion potential consumers across the world. When you are a rising star in business and you need visibility, reach, impact, client conversion, and cash flow optimization, positioning yourself to become a global influencer may be the ideal tool that you need in your arsenal to win business. I encourage you to join the GIP initiative and position your business to build confidence, trust, and credibility and cash flow optimize the fastest.
Today, we're going to be looking at a very important topic, and that is habits and wealth. And there's a couple of things that I want to say as we attempt to do a deep dive into the concept habits. Habit does three things. It pushes you forward, it holds you back, or it kills you slowly. As a rising star in business or in life, you have to make a conscious decision how you're going to use habits in your life. Most people do not know the consequence of habits until they get the end results. It should never be that way. What you need to do is to associate yourself with mentors and coaches and sponsors and supportive community that can really help you to understand or get a pre-interpretation of the consequences of certain types of action. For example, business startup, you may say that you do not have access to capital. And I want to say to you, yes, in the developed world, rising stars in business may have access to multiple financial instruments. But what about developing economies and middle income economies? Do you have alternative sources of access to capital? And I want to say to you, yes, you do. You may not know how, but I want to say to you, when you have the right mentors, the right coach, the right support systems around you, you are better placed to achieve the objective. In today's program, we will attempt to help you to understand how to adopt and apply habits to position yourself for wealth or business success. And today with me in studio, I have a very dynamic personalities, which those who have viewed this program before, you have grown accustomed to. And for those who do not know him, his name is Clement Frank, and he is an economist by profession. He has done lectures at some of the top universities in the Caribbean. He's a leader, and he's also a rising star as an author. So having said that, I want to take this time to welcome Clement Frank as we do that deep dive into habits and wealth creation, and possibly we can also look at habits and business growth. Welcome, my friend. How are you?
Thanks, Gary, and thank you. Welcome. Welcome to our listeners.
Awesome. I also want to take this time to say a big shout out to all of our viewers, listeners. When we do the analytics, we see that we have persons that are viewing our programs from over 50 different countries. And I was impressed when we were doing that analytics to see the span of viewership that we have. I want to thank you for taking the time out to be part of this program. I want to thank you also for taking the time and making your thoughts known on the benefits, how the program is benefiting you. So thanks from the depths of my heart. Frank, in getting today's program started, I want to do a deep dive into the whole concept of how habits can help you to build wealth. And one of the first things that I want to look at is habits and money. I do believe that we need to make learning about money a habit. And I want to say this also. you want to learn money and how money works. I do believe that we have
Mm.
millions of people across the world. They use money without truly understanding how it works. So today I will spend some time just doing a high level overview on the subject of money and habits. Now, some of the habits that you would need to form around money is to really take the time to understand money from the perspective of financial instruments. As a rising star in business, you might be saying to yourself that you don't have access to capital. And I believe that that's a falsified notion. Again, it's not because you do not know how to access capital means that your perception is real. But for most people, perception becomes their reality. And let me say why I'm saying this. There are, when it comes to understanding money, learning about money and how money works, there are four important concepts that you need to learn, apply, and master. For example, you need to understand financial instruments, and there are various types of financial instruments, some that you may know and some that you may not know. And perhaps it's the some that you do not know that is really holding you back in business from accessing capital. So that's the first bit of it. Now, with time, I'll try to go into all of this today to help our audience to understand habits around money, habits around wealth creation. The second concept that you need to learn, apply, and master is how to access capital, because it doesn't make sense to understand the instruments and not take the time to understand how to access the capital. So, the access to capital has a lot to do with understanding pre qualification criteria. I will look at some of that today once time permit. The third concept that you want to learn, apply, and master is capital leverage. Because you may know about capital, financial instruments, you may know how to access, but then you don't know anything of how to leverage capital in a smart way. So instead of you accessing capital and up leveling capital as an asset, you downplay capital to a liability. And everything that I'm saying is vital when you want to win in wealth creation, when you want to master the right habits around money. And the last concept, again, with time, that you need to understand, learn, apply, and master is how to mitigate capital. And the ability to mitigate capital has everything to do with you taking the time to understand debt, understanding debt costs, understanding what is your amortization schedule, understanding how to reduce your debt life cycle and reduce your debt cost. This knowledge is what's going to help you to save hundreds of thousands and perhaps millions of dollars on your debt portfolio. So if you're attempting to build healthy habits around money and wealth creation, these are important tenets of money that you need to understand. Now, what I'm going to do, my talking points today is going to be based on everything that I've just said. So I've laid the groundwork. I will begin by looking at what is financial instruments. And but just before I get into what is financial instruments, I look at those four elements of the whole. I want to pass control now to my partner, Frank, and for him to chime in on his talking points for today, and of course the points that he will be developing on as we go into today's discussion. Frank, all to you. You're mute. All right, you're good now.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Gary. Um,
Okay, my friend.
we looked at a company called BZ, and they would have said and spoke on habits to grow your business, habits to how to use money to make money, how to focus on your strengths and outsource the rest, and so on. And this morning, I will try to speak on the issues of starting a business, making money, growing your money. We all know that starting a business is no walk in the park. A lot of people would say, I want to get into business, I want to start a little business. But it's not an easy road. And according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, around 20% of small businesses fail their very first year, around 50% fail by their fifth year, and 66% have failed by their 10th year. And you may ask, why is that? And there are many reasons, but they help you prevent to help prevent you from becoming part of that statistic. I want to share with you some habits that successful small business utilize. And you can implement these the right way to set yourself for success. Whether you operate an LLC or another type of company. Let's talk about the first one, which is use money to make money. Use money to make money. And one of the best ways to grow your business is to use money to make money. I'm sure you've been told to save your money, to protect it, don't waste it. And while that is truth, while that is the truth to an extent, if you want to have one of the most successful small businesses in your area, you need to use the available money in business in order to help it grow. You need to look for things you can use your money for that will bring you, say, the best returns. And this could be advertising or marketing or even hiring a new employee. The idea is to spend an X amount of dollars on something with the expectation that it will allow you to bring in many multiples of that X number. Money is meant to be transacted. Money is meant to be transacted. So you need to use it to your advantage as you create a successful small business. Again, I'm saying look for things that you can use your money that will bring you the best returns. Where you could place this money to getting more income coming in to your small business. And the second one is focus on your strengths and then you outsource the rest. How much time do you spend in your business diving into uncharted waters? It's as if you're floating in the middle of the ocean, just trying to find your way to land with nothing in sight. But truly, working where you're not proficient is time consuming and it is never efficient. You should be focusing on the areas of your business that you are highly skilled at and you outsource the rest. For instance, if sales isn't your thing, but you want a heck of a marketer, spend your time on marketing and hire someone to run the sales side of your business. If your salespersons can generate more revenue than what it costs to pay them, the expense is well worth it. If you don't want to bring on a sales team, consider utilizing, let's say, a broker that you pay a commission for any sales or new business they bring you. So, what I'm saying is that you need to focus on your strengths and use others to work in alternate areas of your business. And there are plenty of ways to use online services to outsource as well. If you don't want to be bothered by the piles of letters, the piles of notices you receive in the mail, you can outsource and use them whoever company you choose as your registered agent. And this is one way you can stay focused on valuable areas of your business as you manage your company to help it grow. Leveraging the social media market is a third point I want to raise. Social media and marketing. I love social media so much. You know why? Because it's free. There aren't many things you can say you don't need to pay for in your life, but social media is one of them. And it's a great way to grow your business. Marketplace on Facebook, Instagram. When you do advertisement there, you don't pay. You start a business page on various platforms and use them as leverage to get your business in front of your consumers. You can post new products, you can post about sales and anything you feel would be important that will let your audience know about you. The main goal is to build a community surrounding your business. You see, you want people to engage with you and look forward to your next posts. Bring them value, and they will most definitely support you and your successful small business. You can also use paid ads on many of the social media platforms. And I personally believe these are currently on the price. So if you find, as I said, Facebook or Instagram ads are working for you, double down and make ads a main focus to help drive traffic and sales for your business. Form strategic partnerships. What are some of the other small successful businesses in your community or in your area? Are there any in a similar channel where you can form a strategic partnership to potentially cross promote your business and help each other grow? For example, if you're a gym owner, is there a juice bar or a supplement store nearby you can work with? And you'll find that uh, successful small businesses often work with other local businesses to target the same customers and demographics. It makes sense if the gym can drive sales to the juice bar to improve its members' health and recovery. Then it's also adding value for members by introducing them to the juice bar. And likewise, if someone is very health conscious and frequents the juice bar for a nutritious smoothie, it would be advantageous for them to be introduced to the gym where they can exercise and further improve their health. So strategic partnerships are a win-win for all parties, and getting in the habit of cultivating these relationships is recommended if you're trying to figure out how to grow your business. We still use email. Build your email list. It will allow you to reach out and touch your consumers whenever you have something to share. And this could be a product launch, this could be a big sale, or other news surrounding your business or value you're trying to add. You see, successful small businesses leverage their email to stay fresh in the minds of customers while not coming across as salesy or spammy. Look at your business and customers and figure out how often you need to reach out to them via email. Do you always have sales running? For instance, um, as a shoe retailer, you email every single day to let customers know about your current sales. If you have a construction business, emailing every day would be overwhelming. It won't bring much value, and the unsubscribe rate will increase. You lose your people on your list. Use a CMS. Now, if you're trying to figure out how to grow your business, you should definitely look into a CMS. It's a customer management system. Remember, a handful of customers or prospects is fairly easy. But if you 10 times or 100 times that number, it quickly becomes impossible to remember that many people and all their information. A CMS allows you to keep notes on your customers and the prospects you reach out to. You can insert order history, the last time you call them, and notes based on information they may have told you about why they weren't ready to purchase yet. Successful small business need to pay very close attention to customers and retention. In order to keep your customers, you need a tracking software in place to manage the sales and to do your follow up. And this also helps build brand loyalty, as it can help you follow up with customers to ensure that they are enjoying their purchase or ask if they have any questions. What about creating a loyalty program? One thing that successful small businesses all have in common is repeat sales. So, how do you continue to bring people into your business to purchase? You create a loyalty program. The more loyal customers are with your brand, the more you should support them by giving back through a loyalty program. You create a program where every dollar spent equals a certain amount of points. At a certain threshold, customer can redeem those points for free items or even discounts. And many restaurants are utilizing this already, and even apparel retailers are tossing their hat into the ring. It's a brilliant strategy to implement when trying to figure out how to grow your business. Number 8 is to set daily goals. When you're running a business, you need to be working towards something. If you go through your day without something to strive for, you may find you're spinning your wheels without making any real progress. And so successful small businesses utilizes goals like a pin placed on a map. How can you go from point A, your starting point, to point B, your end goal? With sales or revenue goals each day, each week, each month, you have something to work toward. You need to set realistic goals that are measurable and then analyze how you did it. Did you hit your goal? Did you exceed it? Or did you miss it? Why and how? So do some analysis to figure out a strategy to continuously make improvements. You need to create content that shows that you're an expert. Number 9, content is king these days, and people like engaging with content that brings them value. Your job is to figure out what questions your audience and customers have and then answer them in the form of content. This can be blog posts, YouTube videos, or a podcast. Maybe you write one piece and then record yourself reading it after another medium. This will give you several ways to connect with your audience by creating only one piece of valuable content. You see, your goal should be to become an authoritative brand in your industry where people look to you as an expert. Then you network with everyone. Successful small businesses are always networking. You should be constantly looking to connect with like minded business owners, even if they aren't in your industry. Why is this? It's simple. You never know who that person knows. You could be talking to a pizza shop owner who has a good friend looking to join a gym. Good news, you have a gym. So networking is about who you know and what value you can bring to them. Don't think you can just sit back while everyone else sends you leads and customers. You need to be sending businesses to those you network with. So they will see you helping them grow their business and are more willing to reciprocate. Thanks, Gary.
Wow, that was a lot of information, and I truly believe that the audience have some value there. So I really trust that they have taken notes on a lot that you have spoke about. I want to contribute on one of the points that you would have made. Earlier, you spoke about the fact that many persons do not know how to leverage money to make money, and that's the fact. Traditionally, people are taught how to earn money and how to spend money. But in the context of habits around wealth creation, it is absolutely necessary for you to learn how to leverage capital, how to leverage money as a multiplier. So I think those were very, very great points. Now, I will do a deep dive into financial instruments because, as a rising star in business, as someone who wants to position yourself to build wealth, you need to understand what is financial instruments. When we talk of financial instruments, we're talking about debt and equity and credit and creative financing and hard money lending. Creative financing also can take the form of a JV, which we call a joint venture partnership. It can also take the form of merger. And I want to spend some time going into these concepts, but just before I do so, I want to acknowledge one of our sponsors for today's program. Today's program is sponsored by the Bestseller Portal. And in the event that you are now learning about the Bestseller Portal, I want you to go to bestsellerportal.org and you will see this site. Now, one of the reasons I want you to go to this site and get familiar with the content is because a lot of these topics that we're talking about, you will learn more about them. For example, you have one of the programs that we call 1 Degree to Success. And I want to encourage you to take the time and go to this website. It's right on your screen, bestsellerportal.org, and learn these programs. You have the print ad and you have an audio ad that you can listen to learn more about these programs. You have some text that you can also learn and read from. They also have the GIP initiative. And what GIP means, it means that you can learn how to become a global influencer. This is the GIP means Global Influencers Partners Program. I encourage you to go to this site, take some time and learn this site. You also have another program which we call the Cash Flow Incubator. I want to encourage you to go to this site to learn more about the Cash Flow Incubator. Cash Flow Incubator is a beautiful program. It's just about show you how to cash flow. And in that program, you will also get hacks in terms of how you can take money, whether money is a earned income or a debt capital, and how to spin it into income producing asset. Exactly what Frank was talking about early on. And the last program that I will share with you is the High Net Worth Investors Guide. This also is a beautiful program for you to learn. So today's sponsorship comes from the bestsellerportal.com. These are some of the information you're going to get on the front page. But of course, when you go deeper into this website, you will get books, many, many books on the things that we are talking about. We often talk about in this program. So I do encourage you to take some time out, go to the site, get the information, and remember, don't sleep on the information, put it to work. Knowledge is power, but the application of knowledge is where you get your superpower. And our vision here is to ensure that you get your superpower in business. Now, let's begin to do that deep dive, high level overview of financial instruments. As a rising star in business, you want to be certain that you are the subject matter expert, or at least you have someone on your team that is a subject matter expert in finance. Frank, again, he just spoke about this. You see, to build confidence, trust, and credibility in business, you want to position yourself as a knowledge worker. You want to position yourself as a subject matter expert. But to grow and scale your business, access to money is vital. And if you are not the subject matter expert on financial instruments, or you don't have your CFO or some other key financial specialist in your organization, perhaps is another reason why your business will fail. So you need to build healthy habits around either you learning or having people around you that understands financial instruments. Now, let's talk a little bit about this. Debt instruments operates different from credit instruments. And let me give a demonstration of this. Now, to access debt financing, it means that you go into your commercial banks, in most cases, to access the capital. Well, commercial banks, they have a standard operating procedure. And part of that standard operating procedure, they will ask you for the pre-qualification. And in most cases, when you don't reach the pre-qualification to access capital, it becomes a distant reality. So what are some of those pre-qualifications to access debt? And of course, different financial institutions, they may have different pre-qualification criteria. But in most cases, they will ask you for historical financial data because financial institutions, they want to minimize their risk. They want to know that you have cash flow coming into the operation. And one way of measuring that is to look at the historical financial data for your business. So in most cases, when you don't have the history and you don't know how to get the history, it poses a challenge for you to access capital. So let's look at this. In many cases, as a rising star in business, you don't have the history. But along with you not having a history, you don't have a mentor, you don't have a coach, you don't have a sponsor, you don't have a supportive community around you. Why am I saying this? Because in the case where you don't have a history, financial history, 3, 4, 5 years, there's things that you can do to get that history. For example, you can do a joint venture partnership with a company that might have been in existence for 10 years. So that fixed the history problem. All right. So these are habits that you need to start learning, applying, and mastering because, again, as I said, you may be going through your own challenge in business, but you're going through that challenge perhaps because you don't have all of the information. And you don't have all of the information because as you look at your strategic, tactical, and operational team, you don't have it well built out. And you don't have the right mentor, coach, support system, and sponsors and community behind you. So in starting and growing and scaling a business, you want to be certain that you're selecting the right consultants, the right mentor to help drive you and drive the business success the right way. So I'm giving some high-level overview here today. So now let's look at the differences between debt and credit. Now, in terms of debt, I've only highlighted one pre-qualification. There are much more. All right. But let's look now at debt. I would normally say to clients that debt financing is perhaps the lowest hanging fruit, depending on where you are in the world, because to access credit financing, they may ask you for your SSS if you're in the US. They may ask you for your contact information, and they may ask for your FICO score. Now, once you're a US citizen, these are things that you have at your fingertips. And with these things at your fingertips, you're now able to access credit financing. You can access this at the business level, and you could access this at the personal level. Now, it's important for you to understand this. So when I'm saying to you that as a rising star in business, you need to take the time to understand financial instruments. The reason I'm saying all of this, because when debt financing say that you don't reach the pre-qualification, perhaps credit financing might be something for you to think about. And as a rising star in business, if you're saying to yourself you don't have access to capital, and this is the reason why you're struggling in business, I want to say to you, you're saying to yourself a lie. What you're saying to yourself is not truth. The only reason that is your truth is because you don't know how to access capital. So you need to make it a habit of learning all that you can learn about financial instruments or building relationship with people that understand financial instruments or forming a team that understand financial instruments, meaning debt and credit, debt and equity, hard money lending, creative financing, because it is this team of people that you have on your side, the relationship that you're building with these essential stakeholders that will help you to understand finance and how to access finance in the right way. The more you know about these instruments, it makes it much easier for you to understand how to navigate this platform as a rising star in business. And I'm saying this with a heavy heart because many great ideas, many rising stars in business with great ideas, you fail, not because you have a bad idea, but you fail because you don't have access to capital. And here I'm saying to you, the sky is the limit when it comes to accessing capital. Now let's look at the different financial instruments, and you need to form healthy habits here. You have hard money lending, and there's a major difference between debt and credit and hard money lending. All right. And you need to know it, or someone on your team need to know this. Hard money lending, you may have higher APR to pay on hard money lending. APR meaning annual percentage rates. But also you have an advantage here. The pre-qualification to access hard money lending may be lower. And it may be easier. Let me give you an example of this. In the developed world, when you're attempting to access capital, they are looking at your FICO score, and your FICO score should be 680 and above. If you have below 680, the APR is going to be high, all right? Or you don't reach the pre-qualification that you should be reaching to access funding from them. So they're going to say they can't fund you. With hard money lending, it's different, because with hard money lending, you can even access capital with 300, 360 FICO score. And that's a big, big difference. And it's not unusual for a rising star in business to have 380 or below credit score. And the reason that happens is because you have some bad habits. But you have those habits because you don't fully understand the ecosystem of doing financial transactions. And let me show you what's the bad habit. You leverage your FICO score to access capital. So when you have a late payment or a no payment, they report your financial transaction to the credit bureau, meaning the Equifax, Experience, or TransUnion. It is reported. And when you have these late payment consistently or non-payment, it builds up into what you call a derogatory marks. Derogatory mark stays on your FICO portfolio perhaps for about 7 years. So here is where you have the monkey on your back for 7 years, undermining your chance to access capital. Why? Because you have a bad habit here. What I'm saying to you, when you are positioning yourself to build wealth through business, when you're positioning yourself to access capital, what you want to do is to quickly move away from leveraging your FICO score and to use now what we call your paydex score. There's a major difference. Your FICO score gives a personal representation of your financial transaction, but your paydex score gives a representation of the business financing, how the business is accessing and leveraging capital. But here, the other side of this, what happens in the party with your FICO score stays in the party. What am I saying in other words? Any report from your FICO score, from your paydex score, does not reflect on your FICO score. So, but everything you do with your FICO score, it is reported on you. So you want to create separation between your FICO score and your paydex score. Again, many rising star in business, you don't fully understand this. So when you go to buy a debt, you use your FICO. You're given a your personal details. So when the credit bureau are reporting, they're reporting on your personal. But again, if you learn and apply and master the right habits in leveraging the paydex score, nothing that happens on your paydex score is reported on your personal score. So here is where you're now able to build up your FICO to 680 and above. And when the financial institution looks at this, they want to do business with you because you don't have late payment, you don't have derogatory, because you're not borrowing against your FICO. You may be only using your FICO to give a personal guarantee to your paydex, depending on the history of your paydex score. So these are differences. So when we talk about taking the time to understand financial instruments, these are some information that you need to understand. Again, I'm doing a high level overview of financial instruments. The more you know about this, or the more you have the support behind you, a mentor, a coach, a sponsor, a supportive community behind you, or you build out your strategic tactical team to support you in this regard, you stand a much greater chance to be successful. So these are all healthy habits that you want to form when you want to win in business, when you want to win in life, when you want to win in wealth creation. Now, there's so much more that I wanted to get into here, but with all fairness, I want to pause because I didn't get to touch base on joint venture partnership and that kind of stuff, which is another way in raising capital. But you have, as a rising star in business, you have so many options, not because you don't know it, not because you are struggling. It means that you're struggling because there's no hope and there's no options. There are always options available to you. Get the right mentor, the right coach, the right support system behind you, and you will win. And that's why we are doing what we are doing, because we want to point you in the right direction. Now I'm going to turn to Master Frank now. All to you, my friend. You have sense in name there now, Master Frank.
Uh, let's look at the beginnings of building wealth, building habits. The beginnings of building wealth, building habits. Jim Rohn famously said that we are the average of the five people we spend the most time with. In other words, the company we keep dramatically impacts our lives. And if we want to be successful at building wealth, we must surround ourselves with others who have similar goals. We need to find role models and mentors who can show us the way. When um, we must build relationships with like-minded individuals who can support and encourage us. Spending time with people who are already successful in building wealth is one of the best things um, we can do to accelerate our journey to financial freedom. When we see what is possible firsthand, it becomes much easier to believe in our ability to achieve our goals. And if you're serious about building wealth, you need to commit to spending more time with people doing the same thing. So what you do, you attend events, you join groups, and you connect with others who can help you on your journey of building wealth. The more you surround yourselves with positive influences, the easier it becomes to develop this habit that leads to success. And Jim Rohn's famous saying reminds us of the importance of the company we keep if we want to be successful in building wealth. He stated that we become the average of five people we spend the most time with. We must surround ourselves with others who have similar goals. And if we want to achieve our financial dreams, we need role models, we need mentors who will show us how, and build relationships with like-minded individuals who support us. So spending time with people who've already been successful in building wealth one of the smartest things we can do, learn how to achieve our financial goal. There are things that you can do, like demonstrate appreciation. You see, successful people know that when they show appreciation to people such as their employees, loved ones, colleagues, they make those people feel better, but they also feel more positive and successful. You are more likely to receive help willingly if people believe you appreciate them and can reach your goals faster. Appreciation costs nothing. You need to take action, ensure you create a vision, ensure that you set goals and break them down into small steps. If the challenge seems particularly daunting, visualize and affirm your success. You need to believe in yourself and then get out there and go for it. Nothing happens until you take action. We live in a time where people don't read anymore. But if there's one thing successful entrepreneurs appear to do more than anyone else, it is to read. They consume books with an incredible appetite, dedicating time to reading each day. It can just be a coincidence that successful people are well read. But read, and I always tell my students, especially those who were going for the degree, you want to be successful, you need to read. When you go to do that first degree, you don't go to be taught a degree, you go to read for a degree. So reading is important. Then you need to set big and clear goals, ensure that you communicate these goals to everyone in your team. It may be basic, but you'll always be limited or lifted by the goals you set. Again, network. In addition to strongness of people you learn from, is who you know that makes all the difference in realizing vital funds and achieving significant exits. Not what you know. You need to accept your failures. If you're not failing, you need to push yourself harder, push the boundaries, and accept that you will fail. But you also gain opportunities to learn, and you need to start each day the most challenging task, which is known as eating the frog. Start with the most frustrating, grueling, or procrastination inducing task. Because when you're freshest early in the morning, that is what you can accomplish. I'll come back with my final words a little later.
All right, thanks for that, share, Frank. When you're having fun, the time will always fly. I just look up at the time and I said, "My God, time is up on us." And I haven't even scratched the surface in terms of information sharing, my brother. Oh my God, time flies.
And,
When you love what you do, time doesn't exist. You just do what you do, and time does business. However, that was a great share. I love that you talk about relationship. I do believe that you rise and fall in relationship. In one of my book, I did say that relationship is the mother of all social systems. So if you want to be successful, so you need to build healthy habits around, relationship, because you're going to rise and you're going to fall on relationship. So that was very solid points that you would have tabled there, Frank. As time progresses, what we will do is to give you a blueprint to building relationship. And perhaps you might be surprised that Frank is about to release a book. You may have some tips on, how to become a master at building strategic relationship for business success coming out with that book. So keep following Frank. You're going to get a lot of info coming out from that guy. All right. I want to share some additional information. I want to look at capital leverage. And one of the reasons I want to look at this is because what we see is that very often to rising star in business, you may access capital, but then it becomes a liability. And that's the last thing that you want as a rising star in business. And when you form the right habits around capital leverage and wealth creation, you can set yourself up to win. So let me just walk you through some of the habits that you need to learn, apply, and master. Before you take that debt, there's a couple of things that you need to do. Whatever your value offer is, your MVO, your minimum or most viable offer, you want to be certain that it's relevant to the market. It's relevant to your ideal client. And how do you know this? You have to do the deep dive. We call it market research. We call it, intelligence gathering. So you want to build habits around this. So you understand your market, you understand your audience. So you're able to clearly establish from the get-go that, hey, what I'm doing is relevant to the market. So that's stress testing, we call it. The second thing that you want to do here, the second habits that you want to learn, apply, and master when it comes to capital leverage, you want to assess the market viability. Now, how do you arrive to predetermine market viability before you leverage capital into those platforms? Well, you want to know your market size. You want to know your market density, your market dispersion. You want to understand your market. If you don't understand your market and you're leveraging capital, you may be setting yourself up to hurt yourself. If you're going to take capital to invest into real estate portfolios, you must at least know that there is demand for real estate, because it takes a high cost to produce that estate. And if you have low occupancy level and you can't cash flow, you're taking a debt. What happens? You can't meet your monthly obligation, and within a couple of months, you get a foreclosure letter. Why? Because you did not do the stress test. All right. So you want to be able to do this stress test. As you do that stress test, the habits that you need to form here is also you need to look at what we're going to call market accessibility. Very often I see great producers, you produce a product, but then you recognize the ideal client is not localized, but you're local and you don't know how to get regional, how to get national, how to get international, all right, to get full access to the ideal client. And that can be a recipe for disaster because you have an excellent product, but you just don't know how to navigate the terrains to position your MVO, minimum and most viable offer, in front of the ideal client. So the habits that you need to form before you leverage capital is get this data before you leverage your investment capital. The next concept that I want you to consider, the habit that I want you to form for business, is to stress test if your MVO, minimum or most viable offer, is reaching an urgent and immediate need. Urgent and immediate need. You want to know this because it is your knowledge and your awareness of if your MVO, minimum and most viable offer, is reaching an urgent and immediate need that will tell you the possibility of it going fast because the demand is high. But when you do your stress test and you recognize that, hey, the urgency is 6 months from now, or the urgency is a year from now, can you wait 6 months to a year to cash flow? Perhaps you need to look at a different type of business, or you need to have a business like what we call a FMCG, fast moving consumer goods, along with the business model that may cash flow 6 months or a year from now, because perhaps it might be major income coming in. You have to be able to stress test these things. These are habits that you need to learn, apply, and master. If you don't, you're going to shoot yourself in the legs, not once, 10 times. The last concept I'm going to share here is that among everything that I've said, can you believe it when I say you may interface with an ideal client and you know you're relevant, you know the market may have some viability, you can access the market, you're reaching an urgent and immediate need, but guess what happens next? You recognize that the ideal client don't have the ability and the willingness to invest in your MVO, your minimum viable offer. They don't have it. And that is food for thoughts. Because if your ideal client don't have the disposable income to invest in your products and in your services, perhaps if you don't know what to do, it's going to be a bad business model. But let me share with you some options here because it is real. There are many persons that need housing that don't have the disposable income to pay for the quality housing that you provide. But guess what? There's solutions. There's Section 8. And what Section 8 means is that the government may pay 60% or 80% of the cost of rental, and the tenant may pay 20% or 40%. So, guess what happens here? It fixes your problem because you find an important stakeholder that perhaps want to win a next election, that wants to have policy, that wants to be a humanitarian, is saying to the public, I'm going to brace you. I got your back. I'm going to cover 80, 60% of your rent. Just point us to someone that has a property. We're going to work with them, make it into a Section 8, and we're going to help you. So I'm saying to you, there are all of these options. So as a rising star in business, when you want to build wealth, you have to have this panoramic view. You can't, of doing business, and that's what's going to set you up to win. You have to have what we call a solution-driven mindset. All right, a solution-driven mindset. Where there is problems, you want to get into those problems because you got a solution-driven mindset. And your mindset is all about fixing the problems. Never get into a problem to swim in the problems. Don't do it. That's bad habit. Only get into a problematic situation when you're getting into that situation to fix the problem. And if you listen to our program, we don't deal with the problem unless we know how to fix it. So when we come to you, we're going to say, yes, boss, you got some problems there, but we can fix it. We come to negotiate a way out. That's how we are trained to think. And as a rising star in business, this is what you need to do. You would never find us swimming in problems. We always table the solution after the problem. Frank, all to you, my friend.
All right, thank you, Gary. I want to say that get into a habit of paying yourself first because it's important. It's one of the most important things you can do for your self development. And it's a simple concept, but it's quite often overlooked. The basic idea is to save monthly money and use it to invest in your future. This can be done by setting aside money for, let's say, your retirement, investing in a business, or taking care of your financial needs. The reason paying yourself first is so important is that it allows you to take control of your future. So by investing in yourself, you're ensuring you'll be able to live the life you want on your terms. Tony Robbins, one of the world's most successful um, self-help authors, is a big proponent of paying yourself first. He has a book called Unshakable, and he writes, if you don't invest in yourself, then you're stuck where you are. You must keep working harder just to stay in the same place. But if you do invest in yourself, then you open up all kinds of possibilities. Now, Robinson is the only one in this thinking. Many self made millionaires and billionaires believe that paying yourself first is a key to success. So, if you want to take control of your self development, start by paying yourself first. And it's one of the most important things you can do for your future. Finally, Jim Rohn's quote is an excellent reminder that if you want more money, you must focus on personal development, reading books, attending seminars, and working on your mindset. They're all essential things that will help you increase your network. What other wealth building habits can you think of? Over to you. Over to you, Gary.
Yep, you call to, yeah, thanks, Frank. You call two popular name there, Tony Robbins and the great names. And I do believe that these guys, you know, have a lot to share. The names that I want to add is Robert Kiyosaki, great minds. And what I like about Robert Kiyosaki's story, you know, he served in the military. You know, his father, he's the guy that wrote Rich Dad Poor Dad. And his experience, I think, was, you know, so rich. You know, it really drove him to, you know, study what his friend's father was doing. I mean, his father was the smartest guy, highly educated academic, but he didn't understand money and how money works. His friend dad, know exactly. He wasn't the smartest guy, but he was the richest guy in the block. So I think he learned a lot of lessons from his friend dad, and he blessed the world with Rich Dad and Poor Dad. So that was some great share. All right, coming back to this program, and as we wrap up, today you learn a lot. Frank gave a lot of information on a lot of healthy practice that you need to form, healthy habits that you need to form as a rising star in business. And I trust that you would have taken some notes on that. Remember, you can drop us a question on these podcasts. You can respond. We will be responding to you. And you can reach out to us. We would love to engage with you. Again, I want to thank the many thousands of people around the world who are supporting this initiative. In the last few weeks, we have attracted over 30,000 per subscribers to the platform, and we are reaching now over 50 different countries with the platform. We could not have do this without you, the listening audience. I want to thank you. I want to encourage you to keep liking, subscribing, and sharing. When we do the analysis, however, we are seeing that we have 77% of those who are looking at the program who have not yet subscribed to the program. So I want to encourage you to don't only look at the program and send us, you know, how much you've enjoyed the program. I want to remind you to subscribe, so you will be notified every time we start the program. You will be the first to be notified. Again, I want to encourage you to go to our sponsors site. Take some time and go to the Bestseller Portal website. On the Bestseller Portal, you have a lot of wonderful programs. So just peruse this site so you can begin to understand some of the programs. You have One Degree to Success. It's a beautiful program. It gives you a step-by-step approach to position yourself for success. You have the GIP initiative, which is the Global Influencers Partners Program. I want to encourage you to go to the site to get this information. Along with this, you have cash flow incubators. If you want a cash flow, take some time and go to the website, bestsellerportal.org, to learn more about the cash flow incubator. Last but not least, you have the High Net Worth Investors Guide. You need to start thinking like a high net worth investor because you have what it takes to position yourself to attain greatness. And that's why myself and Frank is here to really give you the information and to give you the support to go after greatness. Frank, before we leave, can you talk to us just briefly about, you know, some of the things that we can expect on the launch of your book? You don't have to give away too much. You don't, not the whole cat. You can give us, you know, some of it. On to you, Frank.
The book speaks to persons who are CEOs of organizations who are already established business people, you know, persons who are now coming into business. It is made for easy reading because I wanted to go not only to just English speaking people, but to those who English is a second language. So it speaks on how you can be successful as an entrepreneur, as a budding entrepreneur in this dynamic world where the business is changing every day. In this 21st century, the businesses that were accustomed to in the 20th century are no longer there. If they're far and few between, and they're becoming obsolete. So to keep with the times, your business also has to trend with the times. So the way you do your marketing, the way you do your your content and branding are all written in that book. And so it's
Wow.
a good reading for you.
All right. Can't wait to get my hands on it. So I know the audience are also saying, hey, we need that book. So keep doing the good work, my friend.
Yeah.
So to the audience, I want to say thanks again for taking the time to be with us. It's always fun being with you. We live to do what we do. We love giving service, and we love serving you. So I want to say enjoy the rest of the day and the week ahead of you. Tomorrow we will have another dynamic program. And I want to encourage you again to join us tomorrow at 7 a.m. EST for another broadcast of the Business Boot Camp. Do enjoy the rest of your day.
All right. Bye bye.